Hi and welcome back to your mat. My name is Anna, the Holy Banana, the Holy Yogi. Today I have a hip flow for you. So this is for sore hips, tight hips, creaky hips, stiff hips, whatever you might be feeling in your hips, this is going to help work that out. You can come back to this flow whenever you need as kind of like a tool in your back pocket that will help you move a little bit better. All you're going to need is 2 blocks, and I will meet you on the mat in a wide leg child's pose to get started in just a moment. So for your wide leg child pose, bring the knees mat width distance, toes together, heels together, and hips back to the heels. Bring the forehead down and feel this release in the hips and low back. If you have to choose one over the other, I prefer that your forehead is down, then your hips back to the heels. So if it looks a little something like this, that's okay. I'd rather it look like this than this, okay? So take your wide leg child pose and start working into those hips. Make sure you're breathing. Take note of how stiff the hips feel. We're going to take some movements that work that out. These movements are specific to hip work. Let's round ourselves up, come into your table, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And let's just start swaying hips left and right. So right away getting into those outer glutes. Good, then come back through neutral, step the right foot back, tuck the toes, heel presses back, pressing into the calf and hamstring of that right leg. Then shift that heel forward, lift that right heel up so that the leg is extending long behind that right hip. Pull the right heel in towards the right bum. We're going to take some hip cars for our right hip flexor, right hip joint, and we're going to bring some synovial fluid into that joint. So bring that right knee up and out and down and in and back. These are our hip cars, and we're trying to create a nice range of motion in these hips. Try to paint hip circle as wide as you can. Keep the elbows solid, core strong, and then go the other direction. So lift the knee out, back, and down, out, back, down. A few more. And bring that right knee down. Sway those hips left and right. Notice what might feel different between left and right. Then come back through neutral. Step that left foot back, tuck the toes, heel presses back, getting into the back of the left leg. Then kick that heel forward. We'll take those cars on the left side. So lift the left leg all the way, pull the left heel to the bum, and take those circles, starting with the out, down, and back. Again, keep elbows straight, core strong. We're going to take a couple in one direction. And go the other direction. Good, then drop that left knee down. Again, sway the hips left and right. You might feel fatigue in there, a little bit of a burn, but have no doubt that those movements help bring synovial fluid into the joint and help them move better. Bring the right foot back, trace the right toe to the outside edge of the left mat, pull the right knee behind the left knee, open the heels, Pull the hips back into your half Gomukhasana, cow face pose. So you're pulling the hips back, forehead is hanging towards the floor if it's not touching. Good, then bring yourself on up. Trace that right foot all the way around to the right side. Place that right foot down so the heel of that right foot is solid to the floor. And then I want you to slide that right foot out, getting into the inner right thigh. If you're on carpet, this might be a little bit more difficult. The easiest is when you have a blanket underneath the foot on a wood floor. It slides right out. Keep pressing that right foot down. Hips in line with the heel and knee. And you're going to start feeling this into the inner thighs, the adductors. All of these muscles around the hip affect how tight they are. Good, then start to inch that right foot back in. Trace that foot back around behind you and bring that knee to nose, step the foot between the hands, come into a low lunge. So hands can come to your blocks here so that the shoulders can stack over the hips. I want you to get into that left hip flexor. So the blocks are going to help you stack and stretch into that. And then from this low lunge, I want you to pull your hips back into a half split. Keep the knee and the heel where they are. Flex the right toes towards the face and fold over that right leg with a gentle activation in the right quad. Then pull it forward and back and forward and back and forward and back. Good, and now when we come forward this time, I want you to keep that left knee down, keep the hips where they are, but lift this left heel in towards the left bum, getting an extra stretch in the left quad. If you can't go super high here, that's okay. Do what you can, finding that extra stretch in the left hip flexor. Then drop that back foot down, toes tucked, press into the right heel, lift yourself up and walk yourself over lengthwise towards the left edge of the mat. You can just set the blocks aside for now and come to a wide leg forward fold. So my toes are inward, heels are out, hang over those legs. Keep a gentle bend in the knees, maybe even exaggerate bending one and bending the other. Again, getting into those adductors, these inner thighs that connect into the hip joints. Good, then walk yourself forward, frame this right foot. Step this right foot back to your plank. Drop these knees and pull the hips back to the heels for a low back stretch. Knees together, heels and toes together, hips back to the heels again. If the forehead is lifted, bring the forehead down and lift the hips. And then round yourself on up. Let's tuck the toes, hips back and up, come to our down dog. Pedal out those feet. And come down to your hands and knees. We'll take it on the other side. Let's step this left foot back, trace it to the outside of the right mat, knee into the back of the right knee, and pull the hips back, heels apart. Come into your half Gomukhasana on this side. Relax the head. We're not holding tension in the neck. And bring yourself on up, hands under shoulders. Take this left leg back around, trace it to the outside of the left mat, left foot down in line with the right knee, and let that left leg slide out, getting into the inner thighs. That right heel or that right ankle can come down, left foot solid to the floor. Keep that left quad engaged. We never just want to pull on the knee. Good. Then inch that left leg back in, hands back under shoulders. Bring this left leg back behind you. Pull the left knee to the nose. Step it between the hands. Come into your lunge. Hands come to the blocks again. Shoulders stacked over hips. Hands on blocks. And open up that right hip flexor. Notice my chest is lifted. I'm not leaning forward here. That's going to help me deepen that hip flexor stretch. Then pull the hips back to the heel. Left toes towards the face. Engage that left quad slightly, pulling into your half split. And then come forward and back. And forward and back. Breathe through every movement. Forward and back. Good, then come on forward. And we're gonna pull this right heel to the right bum. Find an extra stretch in that right quad and hip flexor. If it only lifts an inch, that's fine, but what I don't want to see is this. This is escaping this stretch, okay? Keep those hips forward and down, pull the right heel up. Good, then drop that foot, tuck the toes, lift that back knee, straighten through the left leg, turn over to the right edge of the mat, toes inward, heels out, wide leg forward fold. Again, maybe bend into one knee and the other. One of my favorite hip openers is to drop the knees to the elbows, hands stacked underneath the elbows on the floor. Let those inner thighs just rest on the tricep area on the back of the arms. And kind of let gravity do some work here, shifting left and right. I love this for my hips. Then bring yourself back to that wide leg forward fold. And walk yourself forward. Come to frame that left foot. Step yourself back to a plank. And drop the knees down, hips back to the heels again, child's pose. Good, ripple forward, tuck the toes, hips back and up, down dog. Before we come into our floor poses, I want you to lift this right leg, pull the right heel to the left bum, open it up, scorpion tail. Squeeze the calf to the hamstring like there's a tennis ball between the two. Then drop the right foot down, lift the left foot up, pull the left heel to the left bum, open up that left quad and hip flexor. And lower the left foot down. Good, we're gonna bring this left foot, knee, before or between the hands towards the top of the mat. And then we're gonna bring this left shin so that it's aligned with the top edge of the mat. They're the same line, parallel lines here. Then bring this right knee out to the side, right ankle straight down from the right knee. So when you look down, 90-degree angles everywhere you look. Be strict with yourself, okay? Then angle those hips and shoulders forward. And let's fold over, getting into this outer left glute and hip. Coming into our deer. Try to keep those shoulders square, framing that left knee. If we come off to the left or right too far, or specifically if we come off to the right, we're escaping the stretch. So make sure that you are staying square to that leg. And if this is totally easy for you, you can extend this right leg back and come into your pigeon version of this. So that's always an option if your hips are very open and you want to extend that back leg back. Good, then walk those hands up. We're gonna take fire log. So we're gonna bring this right ankle to the top of the left knee and try to drop this right knee down towards the right foot. So find where this right ankle can set on the left knee comfortably. We don't want the ankle to break like this, okay? We want to keep that joint nice and solid. If it goes past this bone, the malleolus, and goes to your knee, that's okay, as long as that's comfortable. But find a place where it's comfortable and try to bring that right knee down towards the left foot. Now, I'm very tight in my hips, especially this morning, because I'm recording this in the morning, but if you're doing this recording in the evening, or you just have more loose hips, your knee is going to drop closer to this left foot. What you don't ever want to do is force things. You want to let everything happen with your breath. So inhale, exhale, feel everything relax, even just a tiny, tiny bit. Take a few more breaths here, finding that stretch. Then pull that right leg in. Bring that right foot to the outside of the left thigh. Pull this left heel into the bum as far as it can go. Sits bones flat to the floor, right foot flat to the floor outside the left knee. You're going to bring this left arm around the front of the right knee, look over the right shoulder and twist. Good, then come back forward. Untangle these legs. Pull them into a nice tiny ball. Get really, really small here. Feel everything kind of reset. And then let's take those hands behind the thighs. Rock along the spine here to get some neutral. And I want you to come all the way up to a forward fold. It doesn't have to be that graceful. You can just push yourself up. You can pop yourself up, whatever you want to do. Come into your forward fold and feel this release in the hamstrings. Let's step ourselves back to plank. Drop these hips down and forward. Come into an up dog. Maybe sway those shoulders left and right. And then lift the hips up and back, come to your down dog. Good. Now for this side, we're going to take the right, actually let's take a scorpion tail before we come into the right side, just to reset everything. Let's inhale that left leg up, pull the left heel to the left bum, open up. Good, bring that left foot down, right foot up behind you. Pull the right heel to the right bum. And bring it down. Good, now let's come into the right side. Bring the right leg forward and set up for our deer again. So the left knee is straight out from the left hip, right knee straight out from the right hip, and the ankles are straight down from the knees. So you can see my left foot behind me, but you can't see my left knee. That's because it's in line with my body, okay? So find that set up 90 degrees at all joints, and then lift that spine and come over into your deer. Again, if this is super easy for you and you don't feel much in that glute, you can extend this left leg behind you, coming into more of a pigeon version, and you will ignite more in that right hip. Take the version that feels best in your body. And then start to walk on up. We're going to come into fire log with this other side. So keep this right leg where it is. Left ankle or foot comes across the top of the right knee. Take that leg or that ankle to stack wherever you want, as long as this ankle doesn't break. So we don't want it to bend here. We want it to stay nice and straight. Find that alignment and then try to bring that left knee down towards the right foot. Again, my hips are very tight here. Yours might be much more open in this movement, so your knee might come much closer to the foot. But drive this stretch with your breath, inhaling and exhaling, feeling a little bit more space open up. couple deep breaths. And gently support the body, bringing the right heel into the left bum as far in as you can. Left foot flat to the floor outside the right thigh. Sits bones glued to the floor. Wrap that right arm around the front of the left knee and look over the left shoulder for your twist. Good, then come back forward, untangle these legs. Again, pull them in nice and small. And then rock yourself down on your spine. Take a couple of these rocks. And this time, let's settle down onto a flat back, knees into the chest. Hands can come to shins and circle out those hips. Good. Let's take that left leg long, cross the right ankle over the top of the left thigh, come into your reclined figure four, but with that left leg extended. Keep this right knee pulling towards the floor to open up into this right hip, and make sure that you're flexing that right foot that's resting on top of the left leg. And then bring that right knee all the way across the left. Pull the knees into the face. Take the hands to the ankles or shins. Try to keep the low back flat to the floor. And open these feet out. So essentially the legs are going to come into a capital T with the knees crossed and the feet out to the side. The thighs are the base and the legs, the shins, are the capital T part. But if it's just enough to get the hands to the knees and pull, that's okay. Maybe halfway down the shins or the ankles and the feet, I want you to lift those legs out and pull them to the side. We never want to feel anything funky in our knees here. Good, then release. Take those knees in, circle them out. And let's take the other side, extend that right leg long, left ankle over the top of the right thigh, reclined figure four. Flex that left foot, encourage that left knee open towards the floor. Then cross that left knee over the right. Pull the knees in crossed and hands come to opposite legs. Pull the low back down, open the legs and feet out and up into your capital T. And release those legs, pull the knees in, circle them out. Last thing, let's take a happy baby, hands to the outsides of the feet, elbows inside the knees. You can always take the hands to the ankles or behind the legs as well. Wherever you are, try to pull that low back to the floor. those heels in. And take the legs to a Supta Baddha Konasana. Feet together, knees out. Let this be your final resting pose today. Feeling all of that energy that we've created in our hips start to clear out. Use our exhale. I encourage you to stay here as long as you would like, to let that practice integrate to your body. And I also encourage you to come back to this practice whenever you feel stiff in your hips. We make progress when we're consistent. So repetition is a good thing in our practice on our mat. These are some of my favorite hip stretches, staples for my practice. And I hope they helped you this morning. So again, stay here as long as you'd like. Thank you for practicing with me, and I'll see you on the mat again soon. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice this morning. I hope your hips feel looser, not so stiff, maybe not so sore. That one you might not be able to notice until later today or tomorrow. But definitely keep coming back to this one whenever you feel like you need some love in your hips. And if you'd like to practice with me more and check out my other videos, there's a load of free YouTube videos at my YouTube channel at Holy Banana, and also my online yoga membership where there is new content each week. Those classes can be accessed at whollyogi.com. A link is in the description. Thank you so much for practicing with me, and I look forward to seeing you on the mat again soon. Namaste.